Hello, it's Crazy Validator with you again, and today we have a special guest with us, Robo McGobo himself, and he will tell us a lot about the latest Cosmoverse, upcoming atom updates, and many more things. So watch it, and I hope you will enjoy it. Don't forget that you can always stake your tokens with the Crazy Validator, and let's start. Hello, Robo. It's a pleasure to have you with us today. So can you please tell us a bit about yourself, about your crypto experience and how you entered the Cosmos labs?
Yeah, absolutely. So I've been in crypto since about 2019. Been full-time in crypto since about 2022. So prior to crypto, I was an attorney practicing in California, and got to the point where I was, I was spending more time, in crypto and just experiencing the ecosystem than I was actually like working. And I think when you get to that point, you have to you start to realize what your passions are. And I decided I would go into crypto full time. So around then, I was very actively involved in Osmosis and helping to run the grants program there. And I decided to kind of like make the leap and go full time. Got my first Web3 job in July of 2022 full time, which, as most folks know, that was a pretty chaotic time to enter crypto full time. We had just had Terra. FTX was shortly thereafter. So it was kind of like a trial by fire, but very interesting time to be involved in the ecosystem. Eventually, was left that role and ended up joining Stride a couple of years back, and I led growth at Stride for a year and a half, and just here recently, about a month and a half ago, I joined Cosmos Labs, and now I'm leading ecosystem growth for everything related to the Cosmos Hub and Atom.
Great to hear it. So you are the main man who are driving the Atom and its partnerships in the right way.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, great. So I would like to talk about the latest Cosmoverse because it was a bit strange in comparison to the previous ones. The lower amount of the just crypto projects, but more institutional guys and all about it. So does that mean that Cosmos is now more about institutionals and it's not the same place for crypto dudes like it was a few years ago when we have like thousands of projects, everyone trying to build something, and now it's kind of not the same vibes for sure.
Vibes are different, but one thing I definitely want to make sure that people are aware of is that Cosmos is still a place for builders. There's a need and a desire for primitives built, especially on the hub. But I think that the way that those primitives will look over the next couple of years will be very different, right? One thing I keep mentioning is I think like the industry as a whole is going through a bit of a change and a perspective shift now. I think Arc and Tempo, with Arc by Circle and Tempo by Stripe, kicked off a bit of an enterprise revolution in the crypto space more broadly. Now you see, with Stripe and Circle both being kind of like titans in the payment space, you see banks that are actually now worried about losing their business to these fintechs and these on-chain customers, and they should be, right? So now they are, as a result, also getting into blockchain. Many of them are going to be building on Cosmos, right? So I think like it's not just Cosmos, but the whole space more broadly is trending more institutional, trending more payments focused. And we'll see that narrative, I believe, kind of grow over the next couple of years. So I expect that with that change, we'll see, a movement towards more payment focused infrastructure on the Cosmos Hub, primitives that can help kind of like service these customers over IBC. So this could be like, Forex infrastructure, which is like, currency trading over, like multiple nationalities, things like this. tooling to help make tokenization easier, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I think that is the general direction that builders will probably start to take building on the hub more permissionlessly. But that aside, the hub in general is an open permissionless ecosystem now. We have permissionless WASM, looking into options for also deploying some sort of EVM, whether that's on the hub or on like some sort of more performant permissionless sidechain. So there's absolutely a place for the existing primitives that people know and love today, but definitely think the trend is heading more towards institutional.
Okay, I also would like to ask about the future of Cosmos Hub in terms of the institutionals, because many folks now worrying that Cosmos will be more stricted and more like closer ecosystem since the institutionals will join, because institutionals will ask for QIC, documents, a lot of papers and all that kind of thing. Will it happen in your opinion, or it's just worries of people?
No, yeah. So I one interesting thing that we have discovered working with these enterprise customers is that they all want very different things. I think there are banking and finance companies that will launch their own Cosmos chains that'll be very closed off and siloed. They'll either launch private chains or permissioned consortium chains, that'll handle kind of like deposit tokenization or like very internal circular systems. But we've also been chatting with companies that are very interested in opening themselves up broadly, right? Companies in the entertainment space, the gaming space, that want to have their own developer ecosystem in a permissionless way, that want to like launch primitives and directly interact with Ethereum, Solana, Cosmos over IBC, right? So I think we'll see a little bit of everything, but there will absolutely be plenty of open, public, and permissionless blockchains for people to use in this new, kind of new paradigm.
Great perspective, and that also requires me to ask about the changes in the tokenomics and the validator set, because it was a good, but it was good like 4 or 5 years ago, and now I think we all understand that we need to move back from this APR rate, from the inflation rate. And there are a lot of talks about the new tokenomics. So the main question of the people, from the people, is when and how.
This is actually a great question. I am not sure when you're going to be releasing this, but as we're recording this, this is Wednesday, November 12th. Tomorrow, Thursday, we'll be releasing the first series of posts about the tokenomics. Basically, it'll be a forum post that will outline the process for how we're going to engage in this tokenomics research and how everyone can get involved at the early steps. We'll follow that up shortly with a RFP that is going to be circulated to research firms and kind of like define what we're looking for in the research. So this is actually very, very timely because we're going to, be kicking this off imminently, and there's, I think it's going to be exciting. It's something we've wanted to kind of get out for a little while, and now we're finally going to be able to start this conversation in a real way.
I also take some part in the economic discussion, and I saw that there are a lot of people discussing it, and I got one worry also about it, because don't you think that if there are too many people and all of them proposing their own ideas, we will stuck somewhere and will not see the final result, which will work better, rather than we will focus on one team, on one group who will do the whole research?
We heard this feedback a lot, and it's something that we've kind of taken to heart. So as this post will kind of show tomorrow, is what we're going to do moving forward is we're going to restrict the scope a little bit. And it's helpful, I think, to kind of define, like, there are a ton of like really great ideas that have come out so far. But I think it's helpful to kind of segment this into like a fundamental tokenomics design versus individual mechanisms that we can build on top of that. So what we're targeted at doing is getting the fundamental model down first, and then once that is implemented by this research and feedback and governance process, then we can actually start very easily just stacking on additional things. So the example that I give is like, I think the thing that is fundamental that everyone is trying to get at is there's going to be this revenue for services model, right? Whether that's whatever that may look like, whether that's like off-chain fees from Cosmos Labs work with the stack, could be on-chain fees related to tokenization and interop and things like this. But really the core of it is like, we'll have all of these sources of demand of revenue. The model that we want to put in place is just a way of converting that into, utility for Atom, right? So once we have that base layer built in place, we can start to discuss some of these other things that have been discussed to add on top of that. So like better rewards for long-term stakers, was brought up, things like that. So I think like by narrowing the focus this way to focus like, hey, we really want to like focus on the revenue demand component of this and how that will play in with changes to supply, like maybe an inflation reduction, things like that. That'll be the main focus moving forward.
I'm also very interested in how the best tokenomics, in your opinion, looks like for the current Atom situation.
So this is just my opinion.
Yeah.
I think there are a couple of really interesting demand levers that we have, today that we can put into place. Revenue from enterprise customers. We're building a platform of services that we can offer to enterprises looking to launch their own chain. We can attach fees to that in various ways. So like, I forget the number, but it's the fees that people are paying for like on-chains or for currency settlement and FX today are like ridiculously high. So we can actually charge a fee that's quite small, 10% of what banks are used to paying today. And if they transition even a fraction of that activity over to Cosmos, we can take that revenue and like exponentially orders of magnitude increase the on-chain fees for Atom, right? So when I say that these fees will be meaningful, they will. It's going to be quite significant. So we have that kind of like base layer, right? I would hope to see that being going back to some sort of buyback mechanism for Atom or distribution to Atom stakers in stable coins or whatever might make the most sense. I also think it would be interesting to kind of forgot the rest of this, but forgot what I was going to say to the rest of it. But there's a lot of buyback power for Atom built into this, and I think that's going to be the strongest lever that we have. Outside of that, I think there are a couple other things that we could potentially do, like as revenue goes up, we can scale inflation down slowly so that people don't notice a huge interruption in their staking APR. And by the time all is said and done, the staking APR may even go up, or there may be be more than fully offset by burns. I think would be the ideal end state for this.
You're talking about the some benefits for stakers, and for today's moment, it's kind of frustrating thing for a lot of people. I mean, most of the people bought Atom to get airdrops, and it was a good mechanism to promote Atom without any significant amount of money for this promotion. But there are no airdrops now, and we are moving in the space to lowering the APR and the inflation. So what will be the point to stake Atom actually? What will be the benefits of it?
Yeah, so this is why I personally think a good tokenomics endgame is some sort of mix between reward distribution and burns. Because I think we not only want to reward every Atom holder for being an Atom holder in the form of, I think buybacks are one of the best ways to accomplish this. But we also want to reward people for staking, right? Because they're taking on more risk. So if we divert some portion of rewards to buybacks and some to staking, I think we can reach a nice balance. Like Osmosis is a good example of a protocol that does this today. And it's, I think that kind of revenue model is very smart.
I also would like to ask about the airdrops, because you are the main man about connecting the projects. So it was a lot of time without any airdrops at all. Can we expect airdrops meta come back in the future, or we can like move forward from it to something?
So this may be a bit of a hot take, but I think that the airdrop meta for Atom is one of the things that has held Atom back over the last several years. Primarily because everyone bought Atom to stake it to, earn airdrops. And I think this really impeded the ability of Atom to get widespread usage in DeFi. Like even today, Atom doesn't have great DeFi penetration. And I think that's significantly held it back. I would personally prefer not to see a return to the airdrop meta days for Atom, because it's not sustainable, right? The name of the game now is we want to build sustainable revenue models for Atom, sustainable methods of bringing in real world utility for Atom and for the hub, something that will last even if crypto doesn't, right? And I think that is a more that's a more sustainable goal to move towards moving forward. Now, that being said, we are working with a lot of customers that want to launch their own chains. Some of them will have tokens. I would not discount the possibility that some of those want to do an airdrop and to activate, the existing Cosmos community. Very possible. It's a very common strategy to draw in new community members. So I would not discount it out.
There are also a lot of questions about the announcements, because a few months ago Magmar said that in the next 3 months you will get a lot of big things, but the half of this period I think is already happened, and a lot of people saying that we don't see anything such big as it was promoted. So the question is when it will happen and what we can expect, because even the latest Cosmoverse was all about the NDA, which is worrying people a lot, because they like, this is the main Cosmos event and we don't get any concrete information, just NDA, NDA, wait, and people like need to be a bit more in specific place about it.
The thing about working with big enterprises and Fortune 500s is they move slow, right? And that is not how crypto is used to moving, right? I use this analogy of like, most tokens these days are like a speedboat. You make one announcement and make a hard left and you can turn them very easily. And the charts often reflect that. Atom is a cruise ship, right? Very large, very very hard to turn, but once we do, it moves in a meaningful way. So all of that is to say, like, we are working on the timelines of our customers. Unfortunately, we do have some announcements that we are planning for Dev Connect in a week from now. Some of the larger announcements I expect will not happen until Q1 of 2026. So January, February, I think is when you'll start to see some of the really exciting announcements start to drop.
Let's talk a bit about the Atom price, because it's also a very hot topic to discuss. What can help to increase the Atom price in your opinion?
It's as simple as making people want to buy it, right? That's it.
Okay. This led me to the next question: how to make people buy Atom? Because for now there is not a lot of points to do that.
Yeah, right now, like I mentioned previously, is like a lot of tokens have these weird circular economic systems, right? That as soon as the token goes down, it's very hard to recover out of this like death spiral. It's one of the main drivers behind all of these tokens shifting to revenue models now. So ZK Sync, you've seen this. Uniswap just made an announcement the other day,
And
right?
the price up.
Yeah, and the price reacts accordingly because it's like, okay, well now we have a way to generate demand for this token with without needing to rely on these circular systems, right? There's an external lever now that's pushing the token price. I think getting that going for the hub is critical right now. And that's the direction that we're heading in. And I think like even more broadly than just that mechanical pressure, there's also the component of the world is coming on chain, right? This is happening now as we speak. A lot of these teams and protocols are choosing Cosmos to build on. And the best way to get access to this institutional push or this new wave of trillions and trillions of dollars in capital coming on chain, Atom is going to be the best way to get exposure to that. And, I think that's a very powerful message to send as well.
I also would like to talk a bit about the marketing in general, because the Cosmos Hub was the place about the marketing from the start. The marketing was about the just airdrops, projects, and that is nothing nothing professional and nothing which has the clear direction of how it should be done. And since the Skip took the head of the Cosmos Hub, they announced that there will be a professional marketing. But I think now 10 months from the Skip start working on it, and there is no any kind of marketing in it. When we can see the marketing and how it will look like for the Cosmos Hub, because many people think that it's one of the most key things in the whole crypto just to have a good working marketing company.
Cosmos Labs does have an internal marketing team, and they've been, I would say, like cranking out a large amount of content already. We're organizing also events at DevConnect. We've got Sovereign Day coming up. Multiple pushes are being made on the Cosmos and institutional front. I think right now, mostly people are hearing mostly silence on the Cosmos Hub front because there's not much to talk about, right? But that is changing as we speak. We've got Tokenomics kickoff, right, which I think will drive a lot of excitement. We're going to push a lot of attention towards that. And we're going to, obviously be working with a bunch of other teams as part of this that we think will be interested in doing co-marketing with us. And then truly once the tokenomics changes pass governance, if they pass governance, that's when the real efforts will kick off, because now we'll have this concrete mechanism for Atom value accrual that we can talk about, and we'll shout it from the rooftops, if that makes sense.
Okay, really nice. We are all waiting for that, because I think it should change the game completely. Let's also talk a bit about the governance model, which is now one of the problems of the Cosmos Hub for sure, because it's not working properly. The proposals are not interesting for the people in general. It mainly the thing for the validators and etc. Can we expect the governance model be changed in the future?
I don't expect that's going to be an immediate priority. I personally believe very strongly in governance. I think it's glass worth chewing, if that makes sense. It's obviously quite painful from time to time to get certain things passed, but it's also one of the most critical components of Cosmos and something that separates us from almost every other ecosystem. With the upcoming legislation changes in the US, Atom is one of the very few tokens that is going to be considered a commodity, and that's because of our decentralized governance, and it's because of how distributed and decentralized the chain is. So I think my answer is governance is a superpower. It's not. I don't see it as an anchor. I see it as a.
Let's talk a bit about the CBDC. I know that you can't say a lot about it, but can we get something more concrete rather than just wait for the announcements and all is under the NDA? Because people are hyping about the CBDC, they would like to know more about it, and unfortunately, there's no information about it at all previously.
What I can say is we're working with a few governments and in partnership with PeerSyst to build out like pilots for central bank digital currencies for their governments, right? And those will be settled on Cosmos chains. They'll be using them in various different ways. So I think at the beginning they'll be rolled out fairly slowly, and it'll be kind of like a beta test is the best way to put it. But the ideal end state there is that these are, basically every credit card or transaction or debit card or bank account that utilizes these CBDCs will be their own wallet on Cosmos, and the transactions will use the blockchain underneath. So I think that's like the general overview of how some of these will probably end up playing out. As far as like which governments and etc., these are some of the announcements that we're prepping for DevConnect, and I think keep an eye out at Sovereign Day in DevConnect on November 18th, because you'll start to get a little bit more information about who those parties are.
Let's move to our last question. What is the future of the Cosmos Hub in your opinion, and how to make Atom great again?
I see the Cosmos Hub as being this sort of coordination layer for enterprises that are building Cosmos chains, right? It has the ability to be a very strong service provider of various things, like tokenization can happen on the hub. Eureka is already a thing that, that's an interop layer that's just ready to be rolled out as IBC to these various customers. There's, like FX fees, I think is something that's quite exciting. Basically any currency exchange that happens over IBC, possible to, potentially take a piece of that for the hub or for Atom as well. So I very much view the hub as being this center point of the new enterprise vision for crypto in general. And Atom is going to be obviously the center point of all of that. The way to get the most exposure and attention to that new world.
Okay, thanks a lot for joining us today. It was very interesting to talk about the Cosmos Hub and the future of it. I hope you enjoy watching and see you soon.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me, and thanks everyone.